Hi, Linny.
Hi, Nancy.
Welcome to episode 109 of the Front Porch Book Club.
The Front Porch Book Club is a podcast that meets twice a month.
We like to dig deep into the relationship between characters and the worlds they live in.
Grab your book and iced tea and join us on the front porch.
So, Linny, you have been down to Texas, deployed by the Red Cross. What can you tell me about your time down there?
Oh, well, I'm really pleased that I was able to go down and support people.
Yeah.
It was very hard. I spent most of the time that I was down there very close to Camp Mystic.
Oh.
And the people had just been through a lot, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
When I got there, it was probably the beginning of week 3 after the storm. But at this disaster relief center had opened up just right in this community. And you might think that why did they wait 3 weeks? But it was really a recovery zone. And all of the effort was spent on the search and rescue part of the operation. So once they felt that they had a handle on that, then they brought in the next phase, which is helping people to recover.
I see.
So I got to be there for the soft opening of that center. Really, the rest of the time I was in that community. It is important work. I am there as a mental health person, and my services were needed. It's a very challenging time for people.
Yeah.
A lot of stories of holding on to trees and just crazy stories of survival that the people experienced in this tiny little town. But Nancy, it's so small where we were.
Yeah.
It was just really good to be there. I was glad to have been able to go.
So I know sometimes you're assigned to a shelter, and so you're working with people who are in the shelter. Sometimes you go out and visit people in their homes. Right. This sounds like maybe a different situation.
It was. I did do a couple of visits, one with Latino team, because that area does have some English as a second language. And the person that did a lot of the spiritual care along with me, thank goodness, was bilingual.
Oh, yeah.
So we did get to go out a couple of times and work together as a team. Mm-hmm. But this particular place was very rural. And so the people that needed shelter at that point were placed in hotels. We call that non-congregate care.
Yeah.
But this particular community, this was over the July 4th holiday. This was sometimes people's second homes. And so they were there enjoying the weekend.
Right.
And so they had other places that they could go. And this was just like the place where they went when they went fishing and canoeing and boating and all those fun things.
Yeah, it seemed like campgrounds and places like that were along the river.
Or little cabins.
Yeah.
Or really nice second homes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very different in that way.
So was this more of like, I don't know, I want to use the term storefront, that people would come to you to access the services?
Right. So this particular community was still really shut down. Now, people could get out, obviously.
Yeah.
But there were checkpoints because they did not want tourists in there. They were still very much searching for a couple of lost people. Mm-hmm. So they restricted access of who was coming in. So it was just the people in that community that were coming to us in that spot.
Right.
Now, some of the people that needed services immediately could get out and go a half hour away to the other disaster relief centers to start working on FEMA and get financial assistance and take shelter and take care of everything. Mm-hmm. This was a little different because it was just meeting the needs of this tiny little community. Mm-hmm. But everybody was there and wanting to serve. So we're a part of lots of agencies that come in. So at this disaster relief center, people could come in. They could talk to people from their state, insurance people. Do we have to boil the water? When is the burn ban being lifted? all of those kind of questions, plus Salvation Army, the Red Cross, FEMA, small business loans. There's just a bunch of other providers and services that come in that I typically see when there's the disaster
Yeah.
that come in and help to support people.
Yeah.
So these disaster relief centers are set up as kind of a one-stop shop to people to come in and access services.
And then to talk to you, sometimes they know, hey, I want to talk to the Red Cross people. Or sometimes would the FEMA person say, maybe you should go talk to the Red Cross people?
Yeah, we worked really well as a team. And sometimes, depending on the size of the disaster relief centers, they're called DRCs. People can get lost in the shuffle of who do I go to? Where do I go? This particular one, all the people that you'd want to see there were there. But because it was like the beginning of week 3, and it was a very small community and only for that community, business picked up, but it wasn't crowded. FEMA kind of ran the door and they started with them, that as they heard the stories, then they kind of said, hey, I think you need to talk to these couple of people that are here, and either would walk them over or would direct them over. Yeah, we just worked really well as a team, and it was more of a quiet, reserve, and respectful atmosphere than maybe what you would think with some places, only because of the stories and the loss.
Yeah.
So,
in a small community like that, the scale of the disaster, I have to think everyone was touched.
yeah. You know, we grew up in a small town and lots of people know each other.
Yeah.
Because they're neighbors. But you might not know everybody because you're only there weekends, or, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a mishmash of people. But yeah, it is why I joined the Red Cross, because I want to provide support for people and help. And the trauma that people had experienced during that flood is real. And so I was able to understand and support. There were some really great mental health agencies down there providing free support. So that was really good to have those connections with them and to give out that information for the long haul.
Reading the stories about people who were hanging in a tree with their loved one for 12, 16 hours, and the floodwaters are rushing by below your feet. I mean, I can't imagine the terror. At what point do you think this tree is going to go?
Well, you do think that. And you do think whatever I'm standing on, I'm going to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
Because people were on roofs and there was thunder. And, you know, do I stand here and risk it? Do I jump for a tree? There's a lot of trauma that's involved with that. Again, it's a small community. So you see, oh, there's so-and-so's house. Are they okay as it's running down the river?
Yeah.
We've got family. We've got loved ones that are all going through the same thing at the same time. And it's really challenging.
Mm-hmm. So you said you joined the Red Cross really for this reason, to provide support for people. Did you feel like you were able to provide support for these folks in Texas?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great.
It was fulfilling in that way for me as a professional to be able to provide that support. So I'm really glad that I went.
Yeah. And this is like all volunteer for you.
Well, yeah, it is for all of us.
Yeah.
And people that experience these floods or tornadoes and hurricanes and all these tragedies, this is their first exposure to it. So they think, oh, you're the government or you're a part of FEMA, or they're not really sure. But we're just a bunch of volunteers and we're just there to help, to support, provide financial assistance, information, mental health, health services, spiritual care, whatever it is that people need to help through that time.
You're credentialed, though. You went through lots of American Red Cross training. You have to have the credentials as a mental health professional. So you're highly trained, but it's not like you're getting paid for this.
No, no. I This is not about payment for
Yeah.
us that are doing this. This is a heart mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool, Linny.
That's all of us. For me, or if anybody is interested, you do have to have a license to do the mental health piece of it, obviously.
Right.
But there are a lot of jobs that you could do in the Red Cross that aren't mental health, like driving people around and doing intakes and all sorts of food service and
Right.
putting up cots at a shelter. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's just a lot of different jobs that we all do, and we all just work together as a team, and everybody knows who everybody is and what their role is, and we do it.
So impressive.
Well, I don't know that it's impressive, but I'm glad to help.
I'm sure families were happy to have a chance to talk to someone who knows how to help them begin to work through and connect them to long-term resources.
Yeah.
Really important stuff. All right. Well, let's get to our book for this month.
And I have to tell you, Nancy,
Yeah.
that I was finishing reading this book when I was in Texas.
Oh, no.
And it was just a little too much. It's just a little too much trauma for having worked with what was going on there and having to finish this book. So I had to put it down sometimes.
It's too bad we didn't have one of the lighter beach read books for you to be reading when you were in Texas.
Yeah, it's just a little too bad about that.
This was a lot.
This book was a lot.
I thought that this would be a great September book for us because it's back to school month and it's titled Educated. And a lot of this is the way that education helped this woman move beyond her life circumstances. But boy, there is a lot of trauma in this book. So this is a true story. It's a memoir by Tara Westover titled Educated, as I mentioned. Tara recounts her experience growing up in a survivalist family in rural Idaho, mostly living in isolation with her family. She has no formal education, not much money, few ties to the surrounding community, and against all odds, she decides to follow the example of her estranged brother, Luke, who has gone to college against her parents' wishes. So her quest for knowledge takes her over the oceans and across continents to Harvard and to Cambridge University in England. And this further and further divides her from her family that was once her world.
Yeah. I don't know if the author came up with the title Educated. There is a theme of education for sure, and her exposure to the world and learning and all of that was important. But from my lens, this book had more to do with mental health and trauma and family dysfunction, family dynamics, mental illness.
Yep.
When you have that kind of environment, then we have violence.
Yeah.
The family system and the family cultural components of the religion and gender roles, which were very much a part of this story too, all affect what's going on with this family.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I'm not sure I knew what I was getting into with this book, but oh my goodness, riveting. Now, Nancy, this is why when you told me what a podcast was, this is the kind of book that you and I could lay out on a bed and talk about all afternoon.
Absolutely.
Because there is so much in here. And I don't know how many pages this book is because I got it on my Kindle.
Ding, ding, ding. Kindle mentioned. Yeah.
No royalties.
No
I
royalties.
Get some royalties at some point. But honest to gosh, I could go on just with the mental health family dynamics piece here for hours. Yeah. So I'm not going to ramble. I need you to keep me connected.
Well,
because there's a lot here, Nance.
I think that is an interesting point in terms of the title of the book. I also thought it was going to be a little more focused on education specifically, more of a memoir of education, where it really is, it's a very personal memoir. For me, I thought this is really a book about identity. What
Oh,
identity is she going to choose for herself? What identity have family members chosen? What world view is the lens in which she is going to view life? What is the lens her family is going to view life? I thought this was a riveting book also. Unsurprisingly, it was a #1 New York Times bestseller, also a bestseller on Wall Street Journal list and Boston Globe. It was one of President Barack Obama's favorite books of 2022, the year it was published. It was on Bill Gates' holiday reading list. It was a Kirkus Review's Best Nonfiction Book of the Century. It was a finalist for the National Book Critics Circles Award in autobiography and the Penn Gene Stein Book Award, Los Angeles Times Book Prize, among many others.
okay. Let's start talking about this.
Okay.
Now, we're going to start with mental health.
Of course we are.
And we're going to start with Tara. She's the author of the book, and she is the youngest of a family of 7. They are Mormon, but they are super conservative.
Yeah.
In a small town, they do attend church, but they're the most conservative people at that church.
Mm-hmm.
They are being raised, these children, by a domineering man who is named Gene.
Yeah.
Their mom, who is Faye. Dad rules the roost.
He does.
Mom is submissive.
Yep.
Gene's behavior becomes more strange as the children grow up. So the oldest ones had more of a normal, I guess you'd say, like normal in quotes, environment.
Yeah.
Whereas by the time she comes along, things are really dysfunctional in the household.
Mm-hmm.
The house smells. She's dirty. The house is dirty. There's rotting food.
Yeah.
The father owns a junkyard. He is working, thank goodness. And the kids are homeschooled, but really not homeschooled. They're basically working the junkyard with their dad.
Right.
So education is not a part of anything these kids are getting. I am amazed at her journey and the way she is raised, that she is able to get to the point where she gets at this book. And her journey continues. Yeah. This is going to be a lifelong journey for her. I think your word identity is good, Nance, because it really is, who am I? My parents said this is my worldview, but who am I? And who do I want to become? But let me get back to the family dynamics. Dad's got some mental health issues.
Absolutely.
Mom's got some things going on as well.
Yeah.
You're growing up in this environment. Now you're a girl. You don't have much power. And you're the youngest one in the family.
Yeah.
So you have even less power than your older siblings. Mm-hmm. And that never sets up for a good outcome.
Right.
So I'm bouncing this back to you, Nance. What did you see in the family that struck you?
I thought she really captured what that kind of household would be like to grow up in. It all resonated with me as, yeah, that checks. that checks out. That's what I'd expect to see. When you understand that her father and her brothers are basically misogynists.
Oh, yeah.
Women have this certain role to play, which is mostly to be quiet and accepting of everything men do and want.
Right.
As a young girl growing up in a family like that, of course, who does she idolize in the family? She idolizes the head of the family because he is the godlike character in the family. And he is always talking about his prophecies. Like he thinks he's a prophet. He thinks he's directly connected to God. All the other people in her family unit behave as if, yes, he has a direct line to God. So as a young girl, she completely idolizes him. and values the time that he deigns to spend with her. And she remembers those early years of just a lot of freedom. There is really no schooling happening. So she and her brothers, when they're not working, they're just running the mountains and the fields of this beautiful part of Idaho. As she starts getting older, things start cracking a little. She starts seeing, wait a second, the things Dad says, those prophecies, they're not coming through. He's very self-aggrandizing. He says he's going to do these things, but these things actually don't materialize. And she also notices that while her mother is extremely submissive to her father, every once in a while she can tell her mother doesn't agree with her father's pronouncements. So I thought one really good example, but it comes back to bite Tara, not her mother, is that Tara wants to take dance lessons because some of the other little girls in the church are doing this. They don't really have the money for it. But Mom, who grew up in a normal household and whose parents live in town, so nearby, the father, Gene, also grew up in a normal household, but he just went off the rails. But Mom decides, yeah, I think it would be good for Tara to have dance lessons. So somehow she scrapes together the money. Tara can take dance lessons. But then the time for the recital comes. And of course, they have dance outfits that they're going to wear, which are cute little girl leotards and tutus or whatever, something that you and I would think nothing about, but that the mom knows the father would feel was extremely immodest for a little girl. And so she talks with the dance teacher who tries to come up with an alternative so Tara can wear something that's a little more modest. Well, Mom and Dad go to the dance recital, and even this more modest costume for Tara, he deems as unacceptable. And he just goes off the rails. Well, Mom never even really admits that she knew what the dance outfit was and had okayed it. She is so submissive that she cannot even say, well, I thought that would be okay. So there are situations in Tara's life that Mom helps her, but then if it blows up, it's kind of on Tara. It's not on Mom.
Right. Mom's not going to protect her.
Mom will do what she can, kind of undercover, but it's up to Tara to see it through. Tara also sees that the family has basically disowned her brother, Luke, who has gone off to college. It's not like he has gone off to some wild college. He's gone off to BYU.
Yeah, right.
This is a Mormon college, a religious college, but they disown him. Of course, mostly the father is saying, that's it. You disobey and you are expelled from the family. So she sees that. She sees these cracks, but what is so interesting and why I think this is identity is she understands that to survive, she has to comply with family rules. And so she's been a journaler her whole life. In her journals, she is actually lying to herself about what is happening. She is downplaying what is happening because to recognize it would be too painful and would be too difficult to then square with what is happening in her life. So her brother Sean becomes very violent. He abuses her physically and emotionally. He sticks her head in the toilet until she almost drowns. He strangles her until she almost dies. But she downplays that as, oh, Sean was just joking around, because she cannot come to terms with the fact that she is actually being abused like this. Her father and her brothers call her names as she gets older, like whore. She doesn't even know what a whore is.
She knows it's unflattering.
She knows it's unflattering. So back to her brother, Sean, he's like a little Gene. He has inherited his father's self-aggrandizement, his feeling that everything he does is right, that everyone is there to serve him. Her parents allow him to be physically and emotionally abusive to her and her older sister, Audrey. And they know that he is abusing his girlfriends and his eventual wife, but no one says anything to him about this, and they pretend it isn't happening. When she is finally recognizing this, she basically has a choice. Is she going to recognize the reality that she is in danger and that her brother is endangering these women? Or will she believe the family story and be quiet and be a part of the family system? All of that checked out for me in terms of the setup of here's the family situation. Yeah, you toe the line for the family. And it's what dad says goes. And also the brothers are next. And I'll tell you what, youngest girl, she's at the bottom of the heap. And if she dares to say a peep, then suddenly she's the problem.
Right. The whole family is in denial. Tara's in denial.
Yeah.
And minimizes things. Her mother is in denial. Father's in denial. Everybody's in denial. Sean, I think, is somewhat in denial too.
Yeah.
But there's a manipulation. I am fascinated with Sean because the more I think about him and how he was raised, he realizes that power is important for survival. He knows what it's like to feel powerless with his own father.
Yeah.
Once he gets a little bit of power, the way he was raised is that you can have power over your wife. And he starts testing his power with his first girlfriend.
Yes.
And he is successful with that. So therefore, then he becomes powerful with Tara and terrorizes her.
Yeah.
And becomes powerful in his family, his nuclear family.
Yep.
And he starts challenging the power that he has over his father as well. And he makes some inroads there. So he has learned from his dysfunction. It takes a different road for him, but he is still a child who grew up in a dysfunctional family. And he has just learned how to survive it in a different way. And that is, I am going to become somebody who is powerful, because feeling powerless doesn't feel so good.
For him, it is violence, the threat of violence,
manipulating others.
Yeah.
Having people toe the line for me.
Right.
One component I liked, I loved everything about this book. This is a 10 out of a 10 for me.
Yeah.
This is a book I'm going to think about. This is a book that I really, really liked. One of the things that I thought was a strong point of this book was that we are seeing Tara as a little girl.
Yeah.
And so she is listening to dad, and she's listening to how to be safe and to love God and to be a girl and do all these things. And she is experiencing this as this is true. Dad wants me to be safe. And so we're going to get guns to protect ourselves if people come after us.
Yeah.
And dad knows how to do that. So we see her growing up and what we would go like, oh, what's going on with this family? But we're seeing it creatively through her eyes, so that as she's growing up and she starts challenging some of these views, we can see how the trauma and the culture that her family has on her, how that's not a big problem for her until she goes to college and she realizes that other people were raised differently. And then she has to come to terms with, how was I raised? And, well, wait a minute, isn't the government after us?
Right.
And, oh, this girl is really nice. She's not slutty, but look at her dresses above her knees.
Yeah.
But she's really nice.
Yeah.
You know, she is just exposed to this other world. I loved that we're able to see this family from a child's perspective. And that is still part of her. In fact, she has to check with older brothers as she's putting this family dynamics together. She is reaching out to older siblings to say, this is my memory of this. Is this true, or what was really going on at home? Because this is kind of my memory of it. And her older siblings were saying, okay, well, this is what I remember, because she's only seeing this through the lens of a child, which is very different.
Yeah, and she even checks in with her parents. Throughout all of this and through growing up, they try to distance themselves from her, but she continues to try to have a relationship with her parents and with her brothers and sister. So she's even checking in with her parents saying, this is how I remember it. I looked at my journals. This is what I wrote about it. What is right? And there are some situations that there is no one in the family that has the same memory of what so that situation was. Yeah. But I do love that she is very upfront about it. She's like, this is my memory of what happened. And here's why I think that this makes sense. But then she'll have footnotes or even in the text and say, but, I talked to my brother and this is how he remembered it.
Right.
And my dad said something different. Or when I think about the timeline of how these things happen, I don't know what my dad was doing when my brother was near death.
Yeah. Did he make him stumble back to the house on his own?
Right. He put the horses away. There are some things you're just like, yeah, I don't know. Dad seemed to be AWOL. He says he brought him back. No one remembers him being there. Who knows what Dad was up to?
Who knows?
Yeah, that whole idea of how we remember life's events.
Okay, so how we remember life's events got me started thinking about this. Part of it is she's a child, so yeah, we all just remember blips and pieces of our childhood. No one has a clear memory of anything. You may have feelings about it, but the fight or flight in your brain, and this is going to get a little neuroscience, and believe me, I am no expert in neuroscience, but the fight or flight is activated by the amygdala, but that center also captures memories.
Oh.
And so I think part of an interesting component of this is that this crazy anxiety producing home where you don't know if you're going to come back from your day at the junkyard losing a limb or not.
Right.
That there is something that has to do with memory and with this fight or flight thing. Also, emotions are in that area as well. And there is sort of an emotional void in some of these stories that she is telling. It's kind of like these are the facts rather than this was my feeling about it. And so I think that there's a lot going on here that as a therapist, I would want to dig deep into that.
Yeah.
Because she's still telling these stories rather unemotionally.
Yeah. It's almost like she's disassociating, if that's the right word, from the terror of the event or the trauma of the event. It's like, yes. And then the huge crane at the junkyard swung past me and nearly killed me.
Right. And Dad put me in this very risky thing. I didn't know if I would live or not.
Right. Right.
Her brother's holding her up. She's slicing something. I don't know. Oh, and she's balancing on beams 50 feet in the air. Oh, just go get a hammer for me.
Yeah.
She has to go get the hammer.
Yeah.
It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. So yeah, there is that sort of distancing herself from the fear, from the feelings of Dad is putting me in the danger. This is her own personal journey. So as a therapist, I want to go there, but I recognize that this is her process and she's not there yet.
Don't you think even to be able to write this down for the world to see and to tell the true facts rather than in her journals when she was downplaying or she was saying, oh, it was just a joke, or no, Dad says that God protects us because we are so faithful nothing bad can happen to us. Instead of that, she is saying, well, you know what? God didn't protect us because my brother suffered terrible burns. My dad even suffered an accident that he barely lived through. So probably even just stating the true facts and acknowledging unemotionally, though, her fear, her belief she was about to die at her brother's hands or because of a junkyard accident or whatever, or even just the untenable situations that her parents put her in because of her mom's submissiveness and her father's domineering personality. Just being able to have it in black and white for the record is probably a huge step for her.
Yeah, that helped her to heal because she's still really dealing with the facts. Yeah. This is what happened. This is where I saw that. Is that what happened? So her mind is going there first. I think the feelings still have a long way to go to come back at this personal healing that she needs.
Yeah.
But she's really centered in on the facts. And here's the thing about denial. We said it right from the get-go. The whole family is in denial, but denial is a coping skill.
Right.
And because she is a child, she is powerless. That says go down there and get the hammer, and she has to walk a beam. She's going to die if she steps off of it. Then at some point, you've got to figure out, how do I do this? And denial was like her go-to for survival.
Yeah.
And so when you peel that back and she's confronted as she gets older with other situations and another set of eyes and becomes more worldly, she's got to confront this denial.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think some of this was really helped by having people outside the family unit and their eyes on it. Like the one friend/boyfriend who comes to her house, and he's a very loving young man.
Yes, thank gosh.
Yeah, very loving, very emotionally balanced. And so he is very respectful while he's in the house. After they leave, he's very, very careful, but he reflects back on some things like, does your house always smell like rotting food? Does your father always speak to your mother like that? When your brother dragged you out of the room by your hair, is that something that happens frequently? You know, he's very non-judgmental, but he is reflecting back what actually is happening to her. And she is unable in some ways to process that and to engage with him about the facts even. But that helps her to start to come to terms with, well, I guess he actually did drag me out of the room by my hair. And I guess my boyfriend did see that.
Right. So the other thing I want to talk about, and you can wrangle me in, Nancy.
Okay.
Is the mental health component here that's going on with dad and mom. Now, again, this is through the eyes of these children. So it is unethical for me, although I want to diagnose.
No. Right, because you're a professional. I can diagnose. I am not a professional.
You can. Okay, I want to hear your diagnosis.
Well, even Tara diagnoses him because she takes a psychology class as an undergraduate, and she starts reading the symptomology of someone with bipolar, and she's like, "Wait a second, that's dad." So she believes he has bipolar.
Right. From her Psychology 101 class.
Well, and that is the danger of anyone who takes Psych 101 as a student, that you do start diagnosing everyone that you know. But I don't know. I feel like in this situation, as a non-professional, I think she was probably spot on. But anyway, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Okay. All right. So part of my code of ethics is that you cannot diagnose people like this.
Right.
But there's reason for that. First of all of this anecdotal information is from the eyes of a child.
Right. Exactly.
And the family.
Right.
So we do not know. Some of the stories are vague. Some of the facts are from the eyes of a child. So we've got that. We do not know his family history or how he was raised.
Yeah.
We do get both of grandparents on both sides a little bit to
We
kind
do.
of understand what's going on there. But I will say that I'm going to give you a rule out.
Okay. What does that mean?
Oh, so that means if I was the therapist, these are the things I would be looking for.
Okay, excellent.
And I would be ruling them out or in.
Okay.
First of all, we're going to take that. I am going to be looking for a mood disorder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be thinking, is this major depression? Is this something else? There's a lot of different little subcategories of that.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to be looking at bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
I am also going to be looking at schizophrenia.
Sure.
And things like that, because we've got paranoia.
Yeah.
We've got catatonia in a couple of incidences, which is very interesting.
They go visit grandma and grandpa at their trailer in Phoenix during somewhere in Arizona or New Mexico during the winter. Dad literally lays on a hammock or a recliner for weeks on end, does not talk to anyone, does nothing.
Right. And again, from a child's perspective, it's hard to know. Like, is he just depressed, and he's just staying in bed all day? Mm-hmm. Is this schizophrenia? We don't have anyone who's knocking on the door, finding out what is going on in his head.
Right.
We know that he is not moving.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that there's some things there that I would want to explore. Mm-hmm. There is a component of anxiety as well. And that opens up the door for lots of interesting diagnoses. But when you think the government is after you,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you've got some of these other things going on, you think, now, wait, is this more of the schizophrenia? Is there anxiety about safety, having enough money, being prepared for the end of the day? He's a survivalist. He's always collecting guns and
food.
So you've got a litany of lovely diagnoses to look at. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we get into personality disorders. So for those that aren't really aware of the DSM, you've got all of the anxiety, all of the depression, the schizophrenia, all that good stuff is kind of one thing. And then you've got this unique set of disorders that are personality disorders that are sort of stand by their own things. But we're going to roll out some of those as well, because there's a litany of things here that are fascinating about this man. One is that he has no friends. Okay, so when you're thinking of personality disorders, you're thinking of people that are hard to get along with. That would be him. Yeah. Now, I'm putting a psychology 101 on it, okay? Right. Because we don't have all afternoon on our bed. Right. So he is a hard person to get along with. Even in his conservative church community, people don't know what to do with him. No. He has no friends. No. He is sort of like the church crazy guy. So we got to look at some personality disorders too. Ones that jump out to me that, again, I would want to rule out or in would be paranoid personality disorder. Okay. Borderline disorder. People tend to know what borderline is these days. There are some that are personality disorders that sound like schizophrenia, but they're really not. Okay. I think the one I like best for a rule out would be schizotypal personality disorder. And I bring that one up because there is some paranoia here and suspiciousness. He's a fascinating case analysis. But again, we can't really diagnose him because we don't really know his history.
Now, here is the other fascinating thing about this story, that if it was written as a novel, people would say, no, you've gone too far. This is ridiculous. And that is, so Tara is off to school. Her world is opening up. She's learning what Europe is. She never even heard of Europe. In a class one day, she hears a professor refer to something and she raises her hand. What's the Holocaust? The students around her think that she is kind of making a point as a Holocaust denier. No, she literally has never heard of the Holocaust. But anyway, so here she is struggling. She has no money. She's working extra jobs. She's getting ulcers and she has insomnia. Her teeth are falling out. She's in great pain. She can barely pay for school and keep her scholarship up. She comes back to her house and her mom's very small kitchen-based herbal supply company, which she has provided herbs to neighbors because she's a midwife and she's pretty good at knowing what natural herbs are good for what. This business has exploded and they have become an unbelievably wealthy family. Her dad, of course, now has stepped in. This is no longer her mother's business. Now dad is running the business because it's successful. And they are employing not only her brothers and the brothers' wives, but also lots of people in the community. So formerly crackpot Gene, now because of this successful business, people are really kowtowing to him. And they are enabling and supporting some of these delusions of his. And they are enabling and supporting the ways that he manipulates people. And so when Tara comes back and tries to reconcile her experiences, not only growing up, but her current experiences, because Sean is threatening to kill her and is still at every moment, he's abusing her. They continue to be in denial, but now they're able to turn the entire community against her because no one will believe her because their jobs and their livelihood depend on staying on Gene's good side. So what was a monstrous family unit situation becomes a monstrous community-wide situation, which was very difficult to read. It's like the worst case scenario.
Right.
The entire community turns against her.
Yeah, she's still really shaky. She still really wants and needs support in her life.
She is a young woman.
College is different because you're lucky. You had college friends that stayed college friends your whole life.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people's experiences, you have like a group of friends for 1 year. And then a group of friends for another year and a group of friends for another year.
Yeah.
Because you're living different places and people graduate and they transfer and it's just a different experience. And so she still very much needs the support of her family.
Yeah.
And she is not getting it. And so it's really left her in an unstable situation. We've got a lot of concerns as she's going to college, right? From an outside point of view, going, oh my golly, how is she ever going to even manage, even if she had perfect mental health going into this?
No.
Just the academic rigor that's going to be required of her.
She has no academic background.
She's lacking in academics. She is lacking in finances. And figuring out the world, how not to be smelly and get the dishes done. She has so many deficits coming into this environment. But with that being said, and because of her own development, she isn't seeing the mental health piece. She's working at trying to be a good student. She is working on just surviving.
Absolutely.
We're not looking at self-actualization. We're working on very basic needs at this point. As she gets to graduate school, and now she knows she can handle the academics, that she is able to move on to more of the mental health piece. Now we're close to breaking down. We need to go to the hospital because she is able now to start addressing this. She has a better group of friends.
Yep.
She has more world experience. She's able to move into that higher level of thinking, and the other parts of her brain are starting to open up. People talk about like the reptile brain. Most of her life, she's in that lower brain functioning of that reptile brain. But as she develops, she's getting into higher brain functionings. And then that's when you really start seeing the mental health crisis for her.
Yeah, because it's just trying to figure out, wait, what did I go through? Am I hallucinating? Can I trust my own memory.
She can't, but till she goes home and she gets that journal under her bed, she's like, wait, this really did happen.
Yeah.
My brother did this to me and I laughed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about?
One of the most troubling, out of a huge array of troubling dynamics, is her parents denying that Sean was a threat to Tara.
Mm-hmm.
Almost killed her several times and outright threatened to kill her. Why were they in denial about that? Why was that something they could not do? That was one thing I never understood. Why was that something that they were willing to deny and estrange her from the family rather than acknowledge?
You know, Nance, I think we talked about this right from the get-go. This is a family that is immersed in denial. Every single one. We're talking about Tara. We're talking about mom and dad. It is easier for me to believe that they believed that than it is for me to be a mom sitting in a kitchen listening to my son drown my child in the toilet. She was able to deny that. And she was home.
But how?
She was home during that incident. She was home seeing the way he was treating her, seeing all of it. She heard it all. She left that house sometimes to be a midwife, but she was home for that.
She was.
And that toilet incident was not just one time.
No, but why was that something they felt they had to deny? Why, as parents, did they not say, Sean, don't do that?
Right. Now we've got to figure out what's going on with mom. Because dad, we already know he's got a lot going on mentally.
Right.
He obviously has some diagnosis.
Right.
But then in exploring mom's got some stuff going on as well. And we don't know, does she have depression? There are times that you think she's got very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
She seems like she has some deficits here and there. No one's been to the doctor. I would want to rule that out for everyone. Like, do we have like thyroid issues? Like, what's going on with this family? We got to do a full blow up there. I would say she's got something. And it's hard to know again, because this is with the eyes of a child. What are the cultural and spiritual influences that are pressing on her to be so submissive to the men in her life? And that includes the boys.
Yeah.
Her children who are male. So understanding her role and her own survival in this family, or is there something else going on here that is more of a personality disorder or a mental health disorder? Because you do see enmeshment. You do see that she could possibly have like a dependent personality disorder. And maybe that's why he picked her, because they got married young. And so did she already have some kind of dependency disorder going on with her that she would want to get connected with somebody like this? Because we saw Sean get connected with somebody who didn't have a very good sense of herself either.
Right.
So I would want to explore that more with her. But it's entanglement because of the cultural and the religious home that she is in. But you got to rule out some kind of depression there too, and some kind of mood disorder. And her way of coping as a mom in that household that is full of dysfunction. It's everyday people would not allow your child to work in a junkyard coming home with severed limbs every other day.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
So I'm just going to say we got something going on.
Yeah.
My husband is not treating these children right. Denial, submissiveness, enmeshment. He is bloodying them up every day, and he is putting their lives at risk every day. And she tolerates it.
And she not just tolerates it, but there's a time when Tara comes back from school. She's on summer break. She wants to work at the grocery store, inappropriate work for a college girl.
Well, she'll get paid. That's a good thing.
Mom says, no, you have to help your father. He needs you. So she's just not passively letting this happen. She is encouraging the children. She is exhorting them that they must obey Gene. They must do what he wants because that's what he needs. So it's all in service to Dad. The whole family unit is in service to Dad and what Dad needs.
And Dad is right because he's like a prophet or something.
Right. And I get the Dad thing. I don't get the Sean thing.
Okay. Nancy, there's no way we would let anybody treat our children like that.
No.
There's just no way. But I guess I'm trying to shed a light on her culture, her religious, maybe her own mental health things of this family is the most important thing in my life. Mm-hmm. And I want my kids to be close to me, and I want my family to be intact, and I want us all to get along and to fully function together. For that to happen, I have to take a back seat. Mm-hmm. And for all of this to happen, we all have to take a back seat. Mm-hmm. And we all have to be tolerant of each other, and we all have to get along. And you know what? Forgiveness is a very good thing. And you just need to forgive your brother.
You just need to forgive
because
your
he
brother
did wrong.
For almost killing you. Right.
Yeah. You know, you need to forgive him. Mm-hmm. Because that's an important spiritual message.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, you could try to rationalize anything. I would love to have seen these parents get some support for Mom. I want to unstick her.
Yeah.
She is so stuck.
Yep.
And I want to get a crowbar and pull her out of that situation and unstick her. Anybody would.
But here's the thing. There are times in the book that you feel like Mom's eyes are totally open, but she is actively choosing to behave the way she does.
Yep, she is. Absolutely.
Because she has an email exchange when Tara is in Cambridge, and she acknowledges everything. She acknowledges everything. But when Tara is back in the family home visiting, suddenly Mom, it's like a different person.
Yep.
No, she doesn't know where Tara got the idea. She saw things that way. I mean, she does an about face. And there are so many times in this book where she sees things clearly. She lets Tara see that she knows exactly what's happening.
Yep.
But the second that it will cause a conflict with her husband, she zips up.
Yep, you're right. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. She is glued on him like white on rice. That's it.
Yeah.
She is not willing to stand up to him.
No.
She isn't.
Yeah.
And that causes a lot of family dysfunction right there. She's 100% responsible for it as well. And believe me, she is not off the hook as far as I am concerned. I'm trying to look and analyze her from a mental health perspective so I could figure out how to help her. Mm-hmm. But when I see the husband and I look at the mom in this case, she is just as responsible, if not more responsible, because there is a knowledge that she has and she refuses to go there.
Yeah.
If people have chemical imbalances, they have steep issues, and he's not getting any medicine for any of this. None of these people have been to a doctor or anything. Mm-hmm. But there is a responsibility that she has towards her family and her children. She's hooked herself up to this guy who is off the wall.
She is not protecting her children.
She is not. She is not. And I almost blame her more from an untherapeutic, from a perspective of me reading this book. I blame her more.
Yeah.
And the hurt that she causes Tara is just as much, if not more, than the hurt from her father.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that Tara recognizes that. Even by the end of the book, I don't think she recognizes her mom's role.
Right. That's part of the beauty of this book. Tara's still got work to do. You can see, wow, okay, she's made a lot of progress, but oh, she's got a long way to go. This is just where she's at in her life.
Yeah.
And this is going to take still a long time to unravel, as childhood trauma does.
Yeah.
I love the fact that she finally got herself to therapy, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, when you're waking up in the middle of the night screaming in the middle of the street and you have no idea how you got there, we need to get some help here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a sign.
Yeah. Now she's ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you love this book. I also thought that this was a 10 out of a 10 for me. It is so powerful. And I think she does such an amazing job describing her experience of growing up in this family and her experience of starting to see her way clear from that kind of environment. Because here's the reality. There are a lot of children in the United States who are growing up in very similar families.
Agreed.
And seeing her journey and seeing it compared to the journeys of her other siblings. Like they all took different journeys. Some of them completely still enmeshed in this community and in that family dynamic.
Working for mom and dad.
Others, like her sister, who looks like she's going to try to get out of it, but then just she's not strong enough. She can't do it. She falls back into it. And then she has two brothers who have gotten out of it like she did. Mm-hmm. This is the story of a lot of American families.
Right. And the fact that her growing up was different than her older brothers.
True.
We've got two girls in the family. We've got these boys. Their experiences are very different. Birth order, and when dad really starts becoming more bizarre, is definitely affecting her more than the older brothers. So there's a lot of family dynamics. But Nancy, thank you for letting me indulge in the mental health piece, because that was what I really enjoyed about this book. Mm-hmm. And the next time we meet, we're going to talk about somebody who can talk about the education piece more, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So that's why I indulged a bit.
We're going to have Dr. Ted Hamann join us, and he is a professor in the Department of Teaching, Learning, and Teacher Education at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And so we will really want to hone in with him about the educational aspects of this. And he actually is also an anthropologist.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So he will also be able to talk to us about this from an anthropological point of view, which I think is going to be fascinating as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I understood those components of it as I was reading it, and the title of the book made me pay attention to this part.
Yeah, right, right.
There's that.
Right. Well, everyone, thanks so much for listening. Our website is frontporchbookclub.com.
Our episodes come out twice a month on the first and third Wednesdays of each month.
See you next time, Linny.
See you, Nancy.
Anthropology.
Anthroponological. Anthropono...